NIU is gearing up for its Season 2 bowl game, and even though Coach Brooks had some options to leave for, he was staying with the Huskies. The second-year head coach just signed his best recruiting class yet for the Huskies, which came in ranked the 33rd best class in the entire nation. His team was getting ready to take on Louisiana in their bowl game, a team that had a notable SEC win over Missouri earlier this season and won their conference championship over Appalachian State. The Raging Cajuns had a strong offensive attack both through the air and on the ground, so these guys will definitely be a tough matchup for the Huskies. Let's see if Coach Brooks and his team can get a bowl win here to cap off season number 2. This was the last time the Huskies would be led by senior quarterback Ethan Hampton, and he wanted to make sure that he would leave Husky fans with good memories of him leading them to a victory in his last career game. While it had been an up and down past 2 seasons with Hampton and his turnover issues, the fans could not deny the success that he had helped bring the Huskies in the past 2 seasons with him as their starting quarterback and would definitely miss him. Already, he had helped get his offense down the field on their opening possession against the Raging Cajuns, and it would be the senior receiver Kenji Lewis taking the wide receiver sweep to the end zone to get the Huskies on the board first in this bowl game. That would now bring out Samari Collier, the senior redshirt quarterback for the Raging Cajuns, who was also looking to lead his team to a victory in his last ever collegiate career game. He was showing off his ability early on, as on 3rd and 7, he would complete this acrobatic throw to keep the chains moving, and before the Huskies defense could even catch their breath, Collier already had the Cajuns offense on NIU's side of the field. This NIU defense had been stellar all season long and was one of the main reasons they had won so many games this year. While they had held Louisiana to many third downs already on their first possession, they ultimately would not be able to get any stops, and the Raging Cajuns would tie it up at 7 apiece. Another aspect of this Huskies team that had been so integral to their success this year was their run game. Sophomore Jalen Poe had himself a breakout season this year, and the success he was having on the ground in turn had helped open up the passing game for Hampton and his wide receivers as well. On 2nd and 5, the Huskies were closing in on the end zone once again as Ethan Hampton would place a beautiful touch pass floating over 2 defenders to his tight end Jake Applegate, who would take it in untouched to the end zone for another 6. Just look at the precision and touch on this pass from Hampton as he's able to get it over the defenders to his tight end. While the senior has had some turnover issues throughout his tenure, the offense sure will miss a quarterback who can make plays like that. Speaking of making plays, both defenses made some big third down stops on the last 2 drives, and that gave the ball back to Louisiana, who was still down by 7 points. The Huskies defense had a chance to get off the field again on 3rd and 6, but Collier's pass would be completed across the middle for a first down, as that completion would keep this drive alive for the Raging Cajuns until the Huskies defense would finally get another third down stop. Louisiana would be forced to punt the ball away, and NIU's offense would come out with a chance to make this a 2-possession lead, and it would only take 1 play for their offense to find their way into Raging Cajun territory. The Huskies were faced with a 3rd down though, as Ethan Hampton would connect with Jake Applegate again, which would just barely be enough for the first down to keep this drive alive, as the offense would be able to stay on the field. While NIU had gone down the field on this drive thanks to Ethan Hampton's arm, it would be sophomore Jalen Poe capping things off on this drive as he would find his way into the end zone untouched, giving the Huskies a 21-7 lead over Louisiana with less than 2 minutes to go in the first half of this game. A minute 46 was more than enough time though for Samari Collier to try and lead his team down the field for points before halftime. Just a few plays into this 2-minute drill, and the senior quarterback had already gotten his team inside the NIU 30-yard line. While it was at least field goal range for them, the Raging Cajuns had their mind set on the end zone as senior receiver Bryce Middleton would get them into the red zone, where Samari Collier would escape heavy pressure from the NIU defense and would spin his way into the end zone with less than a minute on the clock before halftime. Coach Brooks was known to be aggressive in these situations, but it looked like that aggression would come back to bite him as Ethan Hampton would be picked off and Caleb Anderson would bring it back for a pick 6 for the Louisiana defense, quickly erasing the 14-point lead the Huskies just had over them. It had been an intense back and forth game so far today, with both teams making some huge plays in the first half. We'll have to see who can outlast who here though in the second half. Louisiana would start with the ball in the second half and had an opportunity to take their first lead of the game this drive. They were definitely hoping that the momentum shift from NIU to them at the end of the first half could help get them out to an early lead in the 3rd quarter. Already, Collier in the offense had been moving the ball pretty efficiently against the Huskies defense to open up the second half, and a blunder by the NIU defense here on 3rd and 3 would allow a wide open field for Collier to get down inside the 10-yard line, where on 2nd and goal he would connect with Bryce Middleton on a receiver screen looking for their first lead of the day. It was time to see if Ethan Hampton and the Huskies offense could tie this game back up. On 1st and 10 from their own 41-yard line, it would be a play action to Poe, and Hampton would connect with his freshman tight end Kevin Shaughnessy, getting the Huskies into Louisiana territory where they would convert their first third down of this possession. This drive was looking promising, but NIU faced another third and manageable as Kenji Lewis would be marked just short of the sticks, and instead of going for it, Coach Brooks would send out Siebert and settle for the 3 points. That meant the Huskies were still down by 4 to the Ragin' Cajuns, however, and a touchdown on this drive could make it a 2-possession lead for them, as Bryce Middleton had a gap along the right sideline and would take this past midfield down to the 45-yard line, giving his offense excellent starting field position for this drive. Only 2 plays in, and Collier had already gotten his team down into the red zone, where on 3rd and 1, he would take a shot to the end zone, but would be picked off by the NIU defense, their first takeaway of the day. We had talked about how great this defense had been earlier in the game, and finally they came up clutch right when their team needed it the most with their backs against the end zone. What a stop by the defense, as that would give Ethan Hampton and the Huskies offense a chance to take the lead back this possession, but the offense would not be able to take advantage of the situation given to them and would have to punt the ball away to start the 4th quarter. Our defense had managed to force Louisiana into a 3rd and 18, and we would get the 3rd down stop, but now needed a touchdown on this drive to win the game. After picking up that 4th down conversion, we found ourselves in the red zone where Keyshawn Pipkin would take the receiver pitch into the end zone, putting us up by 3 over Louisiana with a chance to get a stop here on 4th and 20, and that is exactly what we would do, as Jacob Finley would come away with an interception for us. All we had to do was run out the clock, but we couldn't pick up a 1st down, so that would give Louisiana one last chance to drive down the field to either tie it up or score the go-ahead touchdown, where on 3rd and 2 with 40 seconds left to go, they would score a touchdown to take the lead, giving us one last chance with 5 seconds left as Ethan Hampton would drop back, launch this one deep, but would be intercepted at the goal line by the defense, as that would bring an end to season number 2 for us, with Louisiana winning this bowl game. It was a tough loss, but it was time to get ready for season 3 now with the offseason. Linebacker Wyatt Wright would win Best Defensive Player of the Year, as well as Best Linebacker of the Year, but no surprise, our team didn't have any Heisman finalists. USC would end up defeating Texas in the national championship, and by the end of the season, the Huskies had the 33rd ranked recruiting class in the country. We were losing plenty of key pieces to both our offense and defense to graduation though, so we needed to pull in some more recruits. So Coach Brooks went heavy in the transfer portal, where he landed not only multiple 3-star recruits, but also a lot of 4-star recruits. And while it wasn't a lot, that did bump the class up from number 33 to 32 in the country. Kenny Luth was going to be our new starting quarterback headed into season 3, and it was going to be a tough test for him as we had an extremely tough non-conference schedule next year. We'll see how it goes for the redshirt senior as we kick off season number 3 next episode with our game against Iowa.